honestly, deeply chilling accounts of wilderness survival. We're looking at a very specific, terrifying phenomenon, that dreadful realization of becoming the hunted in the deep, isolated woods. We're going to break down the timelines, the evidence, and the sheer psychological strain of these incredible encounters. You know, people usually venture into the deep woods to escape humanity, right? To find a little quiet and reconnect with nature. But the accounts we're mapping out today are going to force us to ask a pretty disturbing question. What actually happens when the woods contain something far, far worse than what we left behind? Let's use the facts of these cases to figure out the true cost of isolation. Act 1. The Human Threat. The Smiling Stalker of Pennsylvania. Okay, so picture a 70-acre private lot in Wellsboro, Pennsylvania. It's snowy, it's November archery season, and the escalation of the silent stalker is, well, it's terrifyingly methodical. At 5:15 a.m., our isolated hunter arrives and immediately feels eyes on him. By 8 a.m., a pale man in a dirty gray hoodie just waves at him from behind a tree. 2 hours later, at 10 a.m., the hunter finds a single set of tracks leading to an empty, snowy tree stand. And the snow on the seat is completely undisturbed. It makes absolutely zero logical sense. Then, the climax at 2 p.m. The stalker approaches within 30 yards, wielding not a gun, but a yellow and black-handled screwdriver. It is quite literally an agonizing game of cat and mouse. And the sheer psychological terror of this moment, honestly, it's hard to overstate. This stalker didn't shout, he didn't charge, he just stared the hunter down. He had this patchy, dirty beard and skin so incredibly pale it looked like he hadn't seen the sun in weeks. And he just stood there with this unnatural, teeth-baring half-smile. The hunter actually asked if he had permission to be there, and what did he get? 10 seconds of absolute heart-pounding silence before the stalker just vanished back into the trees. So the hunter made the massive mistake of staying until sunset. And as he frantically fled in that fading light, he stumbled upon a series of deeply disturbing trail markers. We're talking strips of orange vests tied to branches, a dead squirrel, a rabbit, and a crow, all hung by wire through their back legs, with rough circles drawn in the snow right beneath them. But guys, the most horrifying detail? The stalker had actually taken the hunter's own backpack from his tree stand, unzipped it, and neatly inventoried his knife, flashlight, and arrows right there in the snow, meaning the stalker had been right up in his stand, completely undetected. And no, the terror absolutely did not end at the truck. The hunter gets back to find his locked vehicle breached. Nothing was stolen, but his registration papers were deliberately moved to the passenger seat, basically a crystal clear message of, I know exactly who you are. As he started the truck, he glanced in the rearview mirror. And there was the stalker, 40 yards away, smiling, and slowly dragging a single finger across his throat. Now, you might be thinking this was just paranoia, but it wasn't. When the Game Commission investigated the property, what they found was chilling. Deep in the woods, they discovered a makeshift shelter built from tarps and old wood. Inside, a horrifying collection of animal bones and stolen hunting gear from neighboring properties. So the facts confirm it. Our hunter was sharing the woods with a dangerous, permanent phantom who was systematically stalking the entire area. Act 2. The Unknown Entity. The Texas Creature Encounter. For this one, we're traveling to Crockett, Texas. A grandfather and grandson are on a quiet trip to an isolated family hunting cabin. After hearing this strange scratching on their window the first night, they go out, hunt, and harvest a deer. But when they return from a quick supply run to town, they find an absolute mess. Deep claw and bite marks violently ravaging their freshly gutted deer. Now, the grandfather assumes it's just aggressive coyotes, so he decides they need to do a night hunt. So they're 45 minutes into the pitch-black woods, right? The grandson spots something peeking out from the trees. The grandfather advances alone, fires a shot at what he thinks is a coyote standing over another mutilated deer, and then the woods literally explode. An unearthly, unrecognizable screech just shattered the quiet. Whatever this was, it wasn't a coyote and it definitely wasn't human. What happened next was just a sequence of sheer adrenaline-fueled panic. They sprinted back to the cabin, and the whole time they're hearing these incredibly heavy, intense footsteps and deep breathing right on their heels. They slam the door, lock every single entrance, but the creature doesn't stop. It screeches and physically slams against the cabin door with so much force that the grandfather actually raises his AR and fires blindly through the solid wood. The resulting screech proved he hit it, which sent it running, and left even the responding local deputy deeply, deeply unsettled by the whole scene. Act 3, The Moral Nightmare. Screams in the Mountains. 2.
That is the number of agonizing, sleepless nights a group of 3 friends, an experienced hunter named Kyle, and 2 novices, Connor and our narrator, were relentlessly stalked by something that just tore through the dead quiet of their isolated creekside camp.
So they were miles into the woods, just enjoying a campfire, when that first scream hit. The experienced friend, Kyle, desperately tried to rationalize it. He said, "Oh, it's just a fox." Because, to be fair, foxes can sometimes sound human. But then a second, much closer wail immediately killed all conversation. It sounded exactly like a woman screaming. They instantly put out their fire, plunging themselves into complete darkness and just cowered in their tents with their rifles. By the next morning, things unraveled fast. Their camp was completely torn apart. Kyle blames a bear, which, again, is an easy, rational excuse, and they decide to move camp deeper into the woods. They shoot a buck, cook the meat over the fire, and try to just relax. But on night 2, the scream comes back. And this time, it's hunting them. Kyle, completely fueled by panic at this point, fires warning shots into the air and starts yelling into the darkness to scare it off. But the scream answers instantly, practically right on the edge of their firelight. Those warning shots didn't scare it away. They summoned it.
Trapped in the dark inside their separate tents, the hunters listened to fast, hard, 2-legged footsteps running directly through their campsite. Our narrator just lay there completely frozen as something brushed the side of his tent. It was this slow, dragging scratch running right along the fabric. Complete silence followed for a full minute, and that silence was only broken when a deafening, incredibly loud, and unnatural scream exploded right between their tents. It was so terrifying that Kyle actually fired his rifle straight through his own tent roof.
Long after this trip, the narrator was plagued by nightmares of a blood-covered woman screaming for help. And the true horror of this encounter really isn't just the physical threat. It's the moral nightmare. Think about it. Were they hiding from a monster trying to lure them out into the dark? Or did they sit there trembling in their tents while abandoning a genuine victim who was literally begging for her life just yards away?
Conclusion: are we ever truly alone?
All 3 of these experiences force us to confront the terrifying vulnerability of the wilderness. Whether we're talking about a silent stalker leaving morbid trophies, an unrecognizable beast slamming against a cabin door, or a horrifying scream in the pitch blackness, survival out there often means assuming the absolute worst. So I want to leave you with this. If you were miles from civilization, sitting in the absolute dark, and you heard those screams pleading from the tree line, would you have unzipped your tent? Think about that impossible choice, because out there, the line between saving a life and losing your own is completely invisible. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and hey, stay safe out there.